evening, everybody. It's 7 p.m. 21st of June 2017. The first cabinet after the general election. So we'll move to item 1, which is apologies for absence. I only have one apology for absence, and that's from Councillor Tolson. And we have an apology for possible lateness, but Councillor Coxall managed to fight his way through the protesters to get here on time. Thank you, Councillor Coxall.
Lefties.
Is there any other apologies at all, Kevin? We'll move on to item 2, the minutes of the correct of the minutes of the cabinet held on the 5th of April 2017, pages 5 to 18. Anyone read those? Are you happy with them?
Yep.
Yep. So I'll take those through. Moving on to item 3, items of urgent business. I've got no items of urgent business this evening. Item 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest on the items on the agenda this evening? None? No. We'll move to my statements. Obviously, as a portfolio holder for housing, absolutely terrible tragedy that happened to Grenfell Tower last week. It was obviously tragic loss of life, and with an authority of having 15 tower blocks here, literally the morning when the information was coming through, I was straight on the telephone to Lynn, and we were having discussions of what we do and what we do quickly. Having housing officers out knocking on the doors of every single resident in the tower blocks, reassuring them that there's no similarities between the situation at Grenfell Tower in relation to the cladding, and that we redoubled our checks on all the properties has gone down well. Residents feel reassured. There are going to be further correspondence directly with all those residents, and including a block-by-block meeting to understand their concerns, as well as obviously put the facts forward as they are now, and what we are doing between now and when we meet them, by meeting with the fire brigade, etc. Obviously, we will learn from this terrible tragedy, and as the public inquiry unfolds, I'm sure we will have lots more to do in Thurrock. But again, I will reiterate, all of our checks and all of our safety checks on all of our tower blocks have been done. The cladding is not the same style of cladding. The questions that have been coming in from residents have been really helpful to shape how we move forward with the tenant engagement. And I, for one, will look forward to those, and obviously will notify the relevant ward members when they're due to take place. Obviously, if they wish to come along, they'll be more than welcome. Obviously, as mentioned, the election for the snap general election is now over, so locally we're back to work as normal. Hopefully we won't have any more of those for a period of time. Please. We obviously clean cut fit remains one of the passions and one of the priorities for this administration. I don't have the update from the start of this year as yet. That will certainly be available for my next cabinet meeting. But we can't just sit on our laurels with this. We're moving forward, and the enforcement is a key part of how we move forward. As a local authority, we've been educating residents about littering for many years. Obviously, we started taking action with our enforcement team. But I'll come on to that later as a non-substantive item. Remaining in the clean cut and fill it, but obviously moving on to that, where we've got the problems with fly tipping, especially in alleyways. There is a motion at full council in relation to this, but we are making a campaign aware for residents, but not just fly tipping in alleyways, but fly tipping in general. a reminder for all residents that we have council services that deal with bulky waste collection. It's very reasonably priced. They are really quite fantastic. I've used them myself, and they put the items out very early in the morning, very late at night, and they were gone very early in the morning, with very little fuss, which was excellent. We've obviously moving forward with the work on the municipal tip, and that will make it easier for residents to be able to dispose of the bulk waste themselves. But of course, I will always reiterate, if you are using any service to have your waste removed, please check to make sure they're properly licensed. If your address or items that can identify you are found in a fly tip within the borough, it is the resident who will be prosecuted. It will not be this person that's turned up and charged you £50 for a £200 job and you think you've made a bit of a saving. Trust me, the courts will fine heavily. It is unfair that every single taxpayer has to pay for this. 125,000 on average a year cleaning up fly tips that we're responsible for, and that's without the private fly tips on land that isn't ours, that residents, farmers, businesses are all having to pick up the bill for. So, whilst this is organised, the rubbish comes from somewhere, so everybody please play your part, start using licence-only operators, and don't risk being fined. Armed Forces Day on Monday. I hope all of you join me to raise the flag and support our armed services. It's a very important day. I did ask last year that we would try to do something more this year. Unfortunately, we've not really been able to sort of, get that together in time, but I certainly hope and really do wish that next year we can make quite a big deal out of this. Thurrock's got quite a close ties with the Essex Regiment and as with other armed forces regiments, and we really do need to be thanking them for their service. The reason that we can sit here today in a democracy and make decisions that we're making today is because of our armed services. And we need to say thank you, not just for that one day, not for that 15 minutes that we're raising the flag, but literally every single day. For without them, we wouldn't be here. So we're going to move on to item 6, which is briefing on policy, budget and other issues, which we don't have any. No?
Actually, excuse me, David, can I make a comment on your statement?
Yes, please.
I would just like to say thank you, because after in light of what happened with the fires in London, I would like to congratulate yourself and the Chief Exec on how quickly the officers and everyone had such a coordinated response in getting out the information to residents and knocking on the doors. It was so quick. Compared with other authorities, perhaps who are eating back in. And all I can say is, I think I have great confidence that, if God forbid, if ever we had any serious disasters here in Thurrock, that we're in very good hands with yourself, the Chief Exec, and the officers. And I think that needs to be noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Obviously, we played our small part at the top. Those people who actually out knocking on the doors, reassuring residents are the ones that really need thanks. I thanked them today at the housing conference. Moving on to petitions by members of the public, we don't have any that have been submitted to us. Questions from non-executive members. We also do not have anything from members. Neither do we have on item 9 matters referred to Cabinet consideration by an open scrutiny committee. So we'll move on to page 19, which is appointments to outside bodies, statutory and other panels, which is page 19. We will keep this fairly short. There are there's an appendices where members that are listed from previous years have been asked if they wish to remain on those panels, all of whom have agreed. There's only one change, which is Impulse Leisure, which was Councillor Redsall, and she is to be replaced by Councillor Watkins. There is one new body that's listed in here, which is the Essex County Travel Unit. I will be sitting on that. And a late submission, but not one of those that we deemed as an urgent item. which is the Thames Estuary 2100 Strategic Programme Board. All members here have got a briefing note, which I'm more than happy to share, and obviously will form part of the minutes, but we'll be appointing Councillor Coxon to that initially for this year. With that in mind, is there any comments or any questions in relation to this report? None? In that case, the recommendation is put out in 1.1, the nominations to outside body statutory and other panels to be approved as set outside Appendix A, obviously with my amendments. All agreed?
Agreed.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Moving forward to item 11, which is the procurement of housing capital programme delivery. This is a report from my portfolio and relates to the procurement of services to continue with the programmes of works for the improvement of homes for all of our residents. As you'll see from the report, an awful lot of work has been done so far. 6,953 properties benefiting so far from the programme. 57% construction value is spent in the local economy. That means companies that are local, employees that live locally. Local delivery team, 44% of them, are Thurrock residents. I did take the opportunity a little while back going out for one day with both sets of suppliers, and was very impressed. I had no complaints from any of the residents that I spoke to about the service. The residents were chosen at random. They weren't just the ones that were put forward by the contractor at all. There was a bit of difference between the way that both of them delivered the service, but as I say, every single resident had nothing but praise for the guys that had been in their houses, the work that had been done, and where things hadn't gone quite right, it had been rectified very, very quickly. We must obviously remember that the Transforming Home project isn't just about new bathrooms and new kitchens. It has found a number of issues as they've gone through people's homes, those that has been rectified before we put them in. So it's not just about having a nice new shiny kitchen, yet everything else is falling down. The guys have done a really good job, working very well with obviously us back at the council to approve improvements to people's homes and make sure that they are fit for purpose, not just slightly glossed up. There is a slight change to the procedure in which we do it currently. Currently we have two specialist strategic support providers. We are looking to have just one. These are the people that provide things like quantity surveyors, quality assurance checks and things like this. We see that there's benefits to be had just going out to one provider rather than the two in this case. But other than that, we are still looking for the two packages for the delivery of the major works are set out in the report, and then approve just the one contractor to provide the strategic support. Do we have any questions in relation to this procurement report?
Yes, I was very interested in the properties that we had specifically adapted for certain residents with their special needs and what they needed. And I actually visited some, and I can only echo what you had said. They were exceptionally pleased with what they had received and how professional the people who had worked in their homes had worked, and they felt safe and confident with what they'd been offered and what had been happening. So that's really good. Sometimes you often get complaints on that score. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Obviously, page 29 outlines the 83% of residents rating contractors good or excellent. 85% of them overall delivering the programme as good or excellent. Obviously, when we re-procure, that's not to say that we end up with the same contractors, but I know, speaking to those contractors, they are doing everything they can to drive that from the 80s and 90s, preferably up into the hundreds. This is obviously an amalgam of the two. There is one that's performing slightly better than the other, but as I said, I've met them, I've been out on site with them, and they are really putting out the stops to make sure that residents are getting the service they deserve, and obviously that what we're paying for. So with that in mind, I shall move recommendations on page 27 and 28 as written, 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3. Are they all agreed?
Agreed.
Moving on to item 12, which is on page 51. In the absence of Councillor Tolson this evening, I should be presenting the report. As mentioned right at the beginning, as we mentioned a number of times, both in Cabinet and Council and directly to the press, we started a pilot scheme back in last 2016, sorry, which started to issue fixed penalty notices for littering. This was mainly based within the town centre, not just in Grays, but other town centres across the borough. This has produced 1,208 fixed penalty notices, of which 830 of them have been paid on time. The income from that is just over 62,000, which is mainly covered the cost of the enforcement, which means there's been no charge to the taxpayer for this. And I am still surprised at the fact that we are still increasingly issuing such numbers of fixed penalty notices. However, to do so, we do need to procure a service for this, and this document, item is to procure for that, plus some other items that members do need to be aware of. If we look on page 52 at 1.3, it's to set the value of fixed penalty notices to the maximum permissible amount of the environment crime offences as detailed in 4.3. I do believe you've got maximum in there for a reason. If you make it very clear we will not be soft on littering, we will fine to the maximum. That sends out a very strong message. With changes in legislation, which I believe coming in shortly, which will see them double, we could be looking at a £150 fine for dropping litter. Now, that does seem quite high to some people, especially those that just dropped a cigarette butt, but quite frankly, don't drop your cigarette butts. We go down to 1.5, to publicise the successful prosecution of those prosecuted for committing the environmental crimes in the borough, and to use media outlets to appeal for information pertaining to the identity of those persons committing environmental crime where identities are unknown. Very long-winded way of saying, if you lie to our enforcement officers and you give a fake address, and it turns out that the address of the name of the person you give isn't you, we will go to the media, we will put up on our own website pictures of these people and ask people who they are. You commit the crime, own up to it. Because if you don't, we will use every single tool we have in our power to identify you. Should you not pay that, that would be made known in court that you didn't give the right information. Then the magistrate will then take a view on that and potentially increase your fine. So, if you get caught, throw your hands up to it and give the right name and address. If not, your face will be out there for everyone to look at, for everyone to know what we've done, and hopefully pass the information on to the council. Obviously, publicising the successful prosecutions is important. There is this myth that once the council's issued these tickets, you don't have to pay them. That's not quite the case. We've seen some publication on that recently. I'd like to see, obviously, a lot more of that, including the naming of those individuals that have been committed for this crime. Again, that does go down very well when you're reading the paper that a neighbour or someone that you know has been fined for this, failed to pay, and has received a heavy fine. You may think twice about this. I've done this elsewhere in local government for other prosecutions, and it is surprising how quickly people will phone up on the Monday after reading a local paper when someone's been named for shame and actually they will start paying, and that's what we need to see. Finally, 1.6, to approve pursuit adoption of delegated authority from DVLA to remove, impound and potentially destroy untaxed vehicles in line with provisions of the Vehicle Excise Licence Duty, Mobilisation, Removal and Disposal of Vehicles Regulations 1997. We've probably seen this. I know I see it on the way to work fairly often, unfortunately. DVLA clamps on vehicles where they haven't paid their tax. Everybody needs to pay road tax if the vehicle's on the road and is being used. Failure to do so, again, is robbing every other taxpayer of that benefit for highways and everything else that the road fund licence pays for. It's better if we do it locally. We have the expertise. We can do it rather than a central government contractor. This is something that we can use to increase the revenue stream and again make Thurrock the place it should be, make sure that these untaxed vehicles are off the road or the tax is paid. We're not the only local authority that's doing this, so it's nothing new. Hopefully that will be agreed. So with that in mind, everyone's read the report. Do we have any questions at all? Councillor Pierce.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm very pleased with this report, especially where it says that the early repayment discounts will be stopped, because I'm sorry, if you drop litter, why should you get a discount for dropping litter? Just don't drop it. You know, so I'm really pleased that that's being removed. On 2.5, it actually says that we were taking doing cases, I believe, for non-payment prosecution in May. Don't know if you've got an update on that, Leader.
I do. Actually, to date, we've had 21 prosecutions. A total of fines awarded £5,547. Total costs awarded £5,654. Victim surcharge £714. And total fines and costs and surcharges is £11,900. Come on, it's good news. Let me say it. Total fines, costs and surcharges £11,905. This is, again, it's good news. It shows that not only are we taking this seriously, but the magistrates' courts and the courts are taking this seriously. I know certainly when this came out, the fines were much higher than they were at our last run. That will always differ between court and differ between judges. But 21 prosecutions, obviously now we're out of Purda. It makes it much easier for the local authority to tell the story and actually know the people once they're prosecuted. And I believe we have more coming through the system. I need to make very clear that the fines do not come to us, they remain with the court. We get the court charges that we get are the ones that we've incurred taking the prosecution forward. So this is not raising revenue, this is not done just to hit people in the pocket so we can spend it elsewhere. This is solely the way the process works at the moment. There is a discussion to have that perhaps the local authority should be receiving these fines, just because it's us that can do the clear up, whereas the court obviously is just going through the process. Oh, sorry, Councillor Head.
Clearly a report where the offending minority have a lot to worry about, because I have a big feeling that the very vocal majority are standing shoulder to shoulder with this authority delivering this initiative. When we took administration last May, we were very clear that we were going to clean Thurrock up. It was the first part of our plan for a better Thurrock, one with people whose heads turn toward it for the right reasons, and one where people inside the borough are proud of where they live. There's only so much you can do in telling someone the same message. Advertising, social media campaigns, all that good stuff. You can only tell someone the same thing so many times without it being acted upon. And eventually you have to get to the ultimate of corrective behaviour, which is what this policy is effectively going to do. So that offending minority who seek to continue to disregard all the work that everybody, not just this council, but all the volunteer groups, the people that do attend to the properties around Thurrock, people who want a proud borough, this is doing right by them. Absolutely support this, and echoing your point, Councillor McPherson, we made it clear in one of our budget discussions that we sought to gear up the maximum payable fee. It was the right proposal, and clearly it's manifest as it is now. So a very well constructed report. I think the key intent of delivering a clean and tidy Thurrock is absolutely there. And I have absolute confidence that the majority of Thurrock, anyone you speak to, any social media read when someone says I've had a fine and everyone says, well, it's actually right. That's the people we're doing it for. So very good.
Thank you, Councillor Head. Yes, I have had more correspondence with people saying well done. It's a long time. It's a long time coming. This was first floated up in believe, 2013. It was a significant amount of time before we actually made it happen, obviously back in 2016. And we've got to remember this is not just fixed penalty notices that will be enforced for, not just for littering. Page 56 outlines those for dog fouling, fly posting, graffiti, fly tipping, commercial waste breaches, breach of public space protection orders, and a breach of a community protection notice, which will be a report to follow. But yeah, this is quite right. This is aimed at hitting hard in the pocket those people that are quite determined to make Thurrock a dirty place, when most people want it to be a nice, clean authority that's free of graffiti and actually looks very nice, across all aspects. So with that in mind, bearing in mind that there are a number of recommendations that are very long, most of which I've already read out, are we happy to agree recommendations as outlined at 1.1 through to 1.6?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much. In that case, I will close the meeting.